My name is Ethan Caldwell, and I thought moving to Pine Hollow would give my daughter, Sophie, the quiet life she deserved. Pine Hollow was one of those picture-perfect suburbs, manicured lawns, white picket fences, kids riding bikes at dusk. The kind of place where you'd expect neighbors to wave, not to stab you in the back. But I was wrong. Trouble found us here, and it wore the face of Karen Whitaker, the HOA president who turned our safe haven into a battlefield. What she didn't know was that I'm not just a dad, I lead a cybersecurity task force for the state. And when she crossed a line with Sophie, I made sure she'd regret it. Sophie's 9, with chestnut curls and eyes that sparkle when she laughs. She's been through more than most kids her age. A rare neurological condition means she can't speak easily. Her words come slow, sometimes not at all. But her mind, sharp as a tack. She loves puzzles, music, and the little therapy room we built in our garage, where she works with her speech therapist, Ms. Clara, 3 times a week. That room is her sanctuary, with soft lights, a cozy chair, and a tablet for her to tap out words when her voice won't cooperate. I installed a small security camera in there, not to spy, but to keep an eye on her from my office upstairs. Sophie's safety is everything to me. After her mom passed 4 years ago, it's just us. I'd burn the world down to protect her. We'd been in Pine Hollow for 2 years when Karen Whitaker started her crusade. Karen was the kind of woman who carried a clipboard like a weapon. Her blonde bob always perfect, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. She ran the HOA like a dictator, fining people for untrimmed hedges or unapproved mailboxes. Most folks grumbled, but complied. I kept my head down, paid my dues, and made sure our little ranch house on Maple Lane blended in. But Karen had it out for us from the start. It began with the therapy room. The garage door was open one day during Sophie's session, and Karen marched over, her heels clicking like gunfire. "This is a residential zone, Ethan," she snapped, peering inside. "You can't run a medical facility here." I explained it was for Sophie's speech therapy, private and quiet, but her eyes narrowed. "It's unapproved. Take it down." I showed her the HOA bylaws. Nothing banned personal therapy spaces, but she just huffed and stormed off. I thought that was the end. I was naive. Karen's complaints escalated. She sent letters about the excessive foot traffic from Ms. Clara's visits, though Clara came in a Prius, quieter than Karen's voice. She fined us for the therapy room's window tint, claiming it ruined the aesthetic. I paid the fines to keep the peace, but Sophie noticed the tension. One night, she tapped on her tablet, her face worried. "Why is Ms. Karen mad at us?" I hugged her tight, my chest aching. "She's just confused, sweetheart. You're perfect." But inside, my patience was fraying. The neighborhood felt Karen's grip too. Mr. Lopez, an older guy across the street, got a $200 fine for leaving his trash can out an hour late. A young couple down the block was scolded for their toddlers. Chalk drawings on the sidewalk. Vandalism, Karen called it. People whispered about her at mailboxes, but no one spoke up. Fear hung over Pine Hollow like fog. Sophie's therapy sessions were her lifeline, and I'd be damned if Karen took that away. But I didn't expect her to sink so low to make it so personal. It was a crisp October morning when everything changed. Sophie was in the therapy room with Ms. Clara, working on her vocal exercises. I was upstairs, reviewing case files for a cybercrime sting my task force was planning. My phone buzzed with a notification from the neighborhood's private app, the one Karen used to blast her rules. I opened it, expecting another lecture about leaf piles. Instead, my blood ran cold. There, streamed live to every resident in Pine Hollow, was Sophie. Her face filled the screen, her mouth struggling to form words as Ms. Clara coached her gently. The therapy room's soft lights glowed behind her, and her tablet rested on her lap. The video was grainy but unmistakable. Someone had hacked my private security camera. A caption from Karen's account read, "This therapy disrupts our community. Should this be allowed in Pine Hollow?" Comments poured in, some confused, others cruel. What's wrong with her? One said, "Looks like a scam." Another wrote, "My hands shook as I stared at Sophie's vulnerable moment, broadcast for all to see." I bolted downstairs, my heart pounding. Sophie didn't know yet she was still humming softly, following Ms. Clara's lead. I pulled Clara aside, showed her the stream, and asked her to keep Sophie distracted. Then I ran back to my office, my cybersecurity training kicking in. I logged into my system, tracing the camera's feed. The hack was sloppy amateur work. Someone had accessed my Wi-Fi, rerouted the signal, and looped it to the app. I isolated the IP address in minutes. It led straight to Karen's home network. Rage burned through me, but I kept it locked down. Sophie needed me steady. I called my deputy, Lena, at the task force. "I need a warrant," I said, my voice low. "Unauthorized access, wiretapping, and child endangerment. Targets Karen Whitaker." Lena didn't hesitate. She knew Sophie, knew what this meant to me. "On it, boss," she said. While she worked, I drove to Karen's house, 3 blocks away. Her SUV was in the driveway, her front door cracked open. I knocked hard, my badge heavy in my pocket. Karen answered, her smirk infuriatingly smug. "Ethan, what's this about?" she asked, like she hadn't just violated my daughter's privacy. I held up my phone. The streams still live. "Turn it off, now." Her face flickered guilt, then defiance. "I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe your camera's faulty." I stepped closer, my voice like steel. "I traced the hack to your network, Karen. I'm with the state cybersecurity task force. You're done." Her smirk vanished, her eyes widening. "You're what?" she stammered. I didn't answer. I pushed past her, spotting her laptop open on the kitchen counter. The streaming software was still running, my camera's feed mirrored on her screen. I snapped a photo for evidence, then disconnected the feed. Karen lunged for the laptop, but I blocked her. "Don't touch it," I said. "It's evidence now." Her hands trembled, her face pale. For the first time, she looked small. Back home, I sat Sophie down, my heart breaking as I explained. "Someone saw your therapy, sweetheart, but it's not your fault." Her eyes filled with tears, her fingers tapping frantically. "Did I do bad?" I pulled her close, her curls soft against my cheek. "No, baby. You're brave. I'm fixing this." She nodded, but her shoulders shook. That night, I barely slept, my mind racing with plans. Karen had crossed a line no one could uncross. She'd humiliated my daughter, exposed her vulnerability to strangers. I wasn't just a dad anymore, was a hunter, and Karen was my target. The next morning, Lena called. The warrant was approved. My team raided Karen's house, seizing her laptop, router, and phone. The evidence was airtight: her IP address, her login on the streaming app, even a draft email where she bragged to an HOA board member about teaching the Caldwells a lesson. Karen tried to spin it, claiming she was protecting the neighborhood. But the law didn't care. Hacking a private camera, streaming a minor without consent, and targeting a disabled child. Those were felonies. I kept Sophie out of it as much as I could. Ms. Clara brought her favorite music to therapy, and Mr. Lopez dropped off a puzzle book, his way of saying he cared. But the neighborhood was buzzing. At the grocery store, people whispered when I passed. Some left notes on our porch. "We're sorry, Ethan." Others avoided my eyes, ashamed they'd stayed silent under Karen's reign. I didn't blame them. Fear makes people small. But I wasn't afraid not anymore. The HOA called an emergency meeting a week later, held in the community center. Karen was there, out on bail, her arms crossed like she still owned the place. The room was packed, neighbors shifting in their seats, the air thick with tension. I walked in, not in my usual jeans, but in my task force jacket, my badge clipped to my belt. Whispers followed me as I took the floor. I didn't need to raise my voice. My evidence spoke louder. I projected Karen's laptop screen onto the wall, showing her login, the streaming app, and her email. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "This wasn't a mistake," I said, my tone steady but fierce. "Karen hacked my daughter's therapy camera. She broadcast Sophie's private sessions to humiliate her. My daughter, who can't speak easily, who fights every day to be heard." My voice cracked, and I paused, gripping the podium. Sophie's face flashed in my mind, her tears, her trust in me. I straightened. Karen abused her power. She endangered a child. She's not fit to lead. The room erupted. Mr. Lopez stood, his voice shaking. "She fined me for my grandkid's wheelchair ramp last year." A woman in the back shouted, "She threatened to tow my car for parking near my own house." More voices joined, a chorus of pent-up anger. Karen shrank in her seat, her face red. "This is a witch hunt," she yelled, but no one listened. The HOA board, 3 nervous men in polo shirts, conferred quickly. The chairman cleared his throat. "Karen Whitaker is removed from the HOA, effective immediately." Cheers broke out, loud and raw. Karen's trial came 2 months later. I sat in the courtroom, my task force jacket folded beside me as the prosecutor laid out the case. The jury saw the video, Sophie's innocent struggle, Karen's cruel caption. They heard my testimony. How I traced the hack, how Sophie cried herself to sleep. Karen's lawyer tried to paint her as a concerned citizen, but the evidence crushed her. The judge's voice was cold, guilty of unauthorized computer access, wiretapping, and reckless endangerment. Karen got 2 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, and a permanent ban from HOA roles. Part of the fine went to Sophie's therapy fund, ensuring she'd have everything she needed. When I told Sophie it was over, she tapped out a single word: safe. I hugged her so tight I thought my heart might burst. Pine Hollow changed after that. The new HOA president, a kind woman named Maria, repealed Karen's petty rules. Neighbors started smiling again. Mr. Lopez painted his fence bright blue just because he could. Sophie's therapy room became her haven once more, and I upgraded its security with military-grade encryption. No one would touch her again. One evening, as the sun set, Sophie and I sat on the porch, her puzzle book open. She tapped my arm, then her tablet. "You're my hero." My throat tightened. I kissed her forehead, the weight of the fight lifting. "You're mine, kiddo." Pine Hollow wasn't perfect, but it was ours again. Karen's shadow was gone, and Sophie's light shone brighter than ever. I'd made sure of it.